What's going on, guys? It's boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video. Today's actually different. I don't play a lot of cash games in Vegas, but I just busted out of a tournament very quickly here. I'm at the Win. If you can't recognize this or this room here, I'm at the Win right now, and I already drove all the way out here, so might as well make some content, play some cash. There's 3 tables of 2040 happening right now, so we're gonna buy in for $40,000, try to spin it up. I guess the tournament that I bought into was a $1,000 tournament. I bought in twice, I bricked 2 bullets, so I guess I'm starting the day minus 2,200. Let's try to find a way to crawl out of this little hole, I guess. I'm playing 2040, so the game's a little bit bigger than a 1K buy-in. Anyways, we're gonna play some cash here in Vegas, here at the heart of Vegas poker at the Win during the World Championship right now. So let's get into it. Let's play some cash games.
Hopping into the 2040 Win cash game here. Buying in for $40,000. We're playing short-handed as there are multiple tables and we're on the must-move table. Anyways, we're going to be splashing things up today with 8-6 offsuit on the button. Action folds to me and I'll raise it up to $100 and I get the big blind to make the call. Going to a flop of King 10-9, 2 spades. He checks it over to me here and well, I've got some stuff. I got a gut shot straight draw and cards that I want to represent like a king. I bet $150 into the middle and my opponent makes the call. Then we see a turn king. Action checks over to me here. Sometimes I'm going to be checking with a king. Most of the times I'm going to be checking with a 10 or 9. And with that reason, I decide to check this back and see a free river card, hoping we can spike a 7 or a good bluff card. The river is the ace of spades, which is fine, I think. When my opponent goes into the tank for a while and ends up checking, I think here it's a pretty good tell that my opponent doesn't have a whole lot. Him checking and tanking checking. It seems like from my perspective that he wants me to slow down and check this one back, but you know me. Ace is a good card to bluff on. The spades is a good card to bluff on. And I think I can fold out a 10 or 9. So I'm going to fire out $450 and I get a quick fold. So nice to see that. Lovely to see the fold, and my first bluff gets through with 8 high. The next hand's a little bit better here with ace 10 offsuit in the hijack. I raise it up to $100 and the button 3-bets me to $400. Folds the round to me, happy to defend and call, because why not? We're here to gamble and see some flops. Anyways, the flop comes 7-6-3 to clubs. I check it over to my opponent and he throws a bet of $320, sitting with the club in my hand. I decided to peel and call here. Can't be too bad considering I have 2 overcards and the club to fall back on to bluff on. Anyways, the turn is the queen of spades. It brings in a backdoor flush draw and he decides to check this one back. Obviously not going to bet this one on the queen, and he checks it back, which makes me feel good about my hand. We're going to go to a river, which is the 10 of clubs now. Here, I feel like I have a decision to bet or check this one, obviously, but I definitely feel mixed and more leaning towards a bet, considering that he checked back the queen. Maybe I can get called from worse 10s, maybe I can get called from pocket 9s or 8s or something like that, and yeah, I'm going to go fire out $500. Pretty small bet here, and I see a quick call. And he shows queen 4 of hearts. And I'm going to lose this one. So well played by my opponent. Did not expect to see the queen 4 in here in a 3-bet pot. But hey, he hits top pair. And he gets $500 from me on the river after I value betted this one. The very next shuffle, I pick up ace 10 offsuit once again. Going to be tricky to play this one. I'm in the big blind this time. The hijack this time raises to 100. I flick in a call, and we see a flop of queen, jack, 5, 2 diamonds. Here, I check it over to my opponent, and he bets $150. Certainly could fold this sometimes, but here I make the call, and we see the turn, which is the 8 of hearts. I check one more time, and now my opponent throws out a bet of $260. This is when I start recording, because I think I want to get a little spicy with this turn card. Look, it doesn't improve me, doesn't do anything for me, but I do have a 10 in my hand, and I was calling for a straight draw, so it is very likely that I could also have 10-9, which is open-ended. And now 10-9 is the nut straight here on the board, and I decide to go for it, and let's get spicy and active. I'm all about bluffing, and this time is going to be no different. I check raise to $1,000 here, sizing things up, trying to apply a lot of pressure. Anyways, with this check raise of $1,000, my opponent isn't going to go anywhere just yet. He's going to be tough and tricky. He makes the call here, so we're trying to get spicy here, but I do have a 2-way straight draw. Anyways, the river is none of those, not the king nor the 9. It's a 3. complete brick on the board, and well, I could easily slow down here, okay? To be fair, I could easily give up, but that is not why you tune into this channel and why you watch these poker videos. It's because I don't give up. I will never give up. With ace high and a dream, I just check raise the turn. I'm representing a very strong hand, and I'm going to bet like I have the nuts here, 10-9. I fire out $3,300 into the middle, pretty big and chunky overbets, and now we just have to sit here and wait. With $3,300 out, considering how small this game is playing so far, I think this is going to be one of the biggest pots of the night and probably one of the bigger bets I'm going to throw out here tonight. So it's a pretty big sweat. I kind of want to get this bluff through because of how meaningful this is. Anyways, he does end up tank folding after all of this time waiting. Well worth the wait. Nice to see that result. He believes me, and I'll take this one down with ace high. Okay, you've seen me play a lot of really bad hands. Finally, I get a good one. Pocket jacks in the small blind. The hijack raises to $110. He's got about $15,000 in a stack, so I'm going to want to try to play for all of it. I decided to make it $550, and my opponent makes the call in position. So now out of position we go, and the flop is king 10-9, 2 clubs. It's not the best spot. Definitely not super comfortable, but with jacks, I do have to bet and continue. I decided to throw out $300 here in this instance, and quick folds all around from my opponent. So there we go. I don't make a whole lot. It's not very meaningful, but it did play a good hand, and it is proof to show that sometimes I do play good hands, not just trash ones. Another pocket pair we look down at, pocket sevens in the cutoff. This time I raise it up to $100. The button 3-bets me to $400, and he's playing very, very deep, about $40,000 effective, give or take. So gonna make the call and set mine we do, baby. It's 9-7-5 flop. That is what we're looking for when we see pocket sevens. I check it to my opponent, and he throws out a bet of $610. Here, I certainly could have an option to check raise, but considering it's a rainbow board, I'm facing against a pretty big size. I think I'm just going to make the call here. Expect him to have a lot of strong hands, maybe some bluffs. But here, overall, I think check raising looks a little too strong. So going to make the call, and we see the turn, which is the king of hearts. It does introduce a backdoor flush draw, but this is also another really good card for my opponent to bet on, I think. So I check it over to him, and now he fires out another big size of $1,530. Very specific sizings for my opponent, not just a straight $1,500. He wants the extra $30 in there. Anyways, with the set, kind of the same heuristics as last time. I think this card is going to be so good for my opponent, and if I check raise this turn, it's like kind of impossible to figure out like what bluffs I'm doing this with. So considering that he bet a pretty large size, considering that I don't really know what kind of bluffs I'm going to be check raising here, I decided to slow play and call once again. A little bit not standard, but hey, what can I do? I think this is the right play, and we're going to move on because the pot's ballooning up. We're going to go to a river, which comes at the 4 of clubs, basically a brick. I check one more time, expecting my opponent to fire out with all of his strong hands and also all of his bluffs as well. And after a while long of thinking, he checks it back. Oh, no more value. We don't even get to see what my opponent even had, so I should really show the pocket sevens, which is obviously going to be the winner. And yeah, I take the pot down. I'm not going to complain. Do I think I could have played it better, or it could have worked out better where I could have made more money? Absolutely. But that didn't end up happening, and that's sometimes how poker goes. And we're moving on because we've got to focus on the next hand, which is ace king of spades in the small blind. The low jack raises to $110. And here I'm going to make it 5 times more. I 3-bet to $550. Low jack calls. We're going to see a flop, which is magical. The run good is real. It's king 4 rainbow flop. How sick is this? Here, I'm going to throw out a small bet, $300. I'm going to do this with all of my hands that miss, all of my good hands, all of my bad hands. For $300, very, very small bet, my opponent makes the call. Here, the turn comes the 10 of hearts, bringing in a backdoor flush draw. And now I have a decision to make with how much I want to bet. And considering how I'm going to be betting basically every single hand for a small size on the flop, here I have more decisions, and I decided to go very, very large. And this time I make it $2,500, basically an overbet here. I think this card is really dynamic. Obviously, I have a lot of really strong hands like pocket tens, ace king, king 10, all of that stuff. And I also have a lot of draws and stuff that I would continue barreling with that can be bluffing. So with a really strong hand, I decided to overbet. And then we face a very interesting decision because my opponent raises me to $5,000. What? Oh boy, very interesting spot to say the least here. Facing a min raise, and he's in position, and I look at his stack. It's about $11,000 behind, and I don't know what I want to do. Considering his raise here, which really blows up the size of this pot, it makes his $11,000 behind seem not a whole lot because he put in a third of his stack already. I'm scared that I'm behind pocket 10s or king 10, but outside of that, I do feel like I should just get it all in at this point. I could be wrong, but I'm not really sure. I think his raise is going to be super strong or just full of it. But my hand is super vulnerable to bad cards coming out, like a flush or a straight or something. So I don't know what to do. I just go for it. I think I just go with my gut. I feel like this is right. I don't really know, but I go all in now after he raises me. He doesn't snap call, so that's amazing. All right, you want to fade the snap call because he doesn't have 10s or a full house or something like that. But then he ends up folding. It doesn't take that much time to fold either, so I guess he was just completely full of it, unless he made a really sick fold with trips, which I don't think anyone's really capable of doing. At least I certainly am not capable of folding trips here. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this hand. Did I mess this one up? Did he make a hero fold? Did he just have absolutely nothing and was just firing away for fun? I have no idea at this point, but hey, I'm glad I won the pot. Obviously a little bit disappointing to not get it all, but who knows what would have happened if I called and seen a river. Moving right along, the run good is real right now. We pick up Jack 9 offsuit in the button, and I raise it up to $100. Get the big blind to make the call here, and we see another sick flop. It's Queen Jack 9. With the flush draw out there, I pick up bottom 2 pair on a very draw-heavy board. My opponent checks over to me, and because of how draw-heavy it is, I'm going to throw out $140. He makes the call here, and we're going to see a turn, which is the 7 of diamonds. Brings in a backdoor flush draw, and here I decide to bomb it now. It's $750. There's 2 flush draws on the board, very, very draw-heavy. My opponent didn't check raise the flop, which makes me think that 2 pair is good here. So with 2 pair, my opponent goes in the tank and ends up making the call. His call leaves him with about $7,000 behind, so maybe we can get spicy and get it all in on the river. The river is the 4 of hearts, a complete brick here, and when my opponent checks one more time, this is probably a little too greedy, but I am going to have to try to go for it. Maybe he has just like a 1 pair of queens, maybe queen 10 or something like that I could potentially get value from. So I just put them all in, and he snap folds, so maybe a little too greedy. Maybe he just missed his draw, but I do win another one. And that's going to lead us to one of the last interesting hands of the night. We're playing 4-handed now. The table is basically about to break. And I pick up ace-9 suited in the cutoff. First to act here because we're playing 4-handed. I raise it up to $100. Get the small blind to make the call. The big blind now 3 bets to $600. Pretty large sizing, but with a suited ace, I'm not going to go anywhere here. I make the call, and the small blind ends up getting out of the way. So heads up, we might play a big pot the last hand of the night, and it comes ace-8-5 rainbow. Okay, good news, bad news. The good news is that I have an ace, and that's top pair. The bad news is I lose to all other very strong hands, like really ace-10 plus. Anyways, he fires out $300 to start off. I'm very, very happy with this price. Don't think raising here makes a lot of sense. So I call the 300. We're off to a turn, which is a deuce. He checks it over to me now, but he slows down. And I think here I have a pretty reasonable hand to slow down myself. Like I said, I lose to all better aces that he could easily have. Could those hands potentially just continue barreling off? I think so, but I do need to have some decently good hands when I check back, and this seems like one of them. Anyways, we're going to go to a river now, which comes a 3, and he checks for a 3rd time, or technically a 2nd time here on the river. And now I think I'm in position, closing out the action. It would be a sin to not go for it. Even though any 4 makes a straight, I feel like I still have to bet top pair. So I decided to throw out $1,400 now. $1,400 into the field, looking like a bluff, trying to look like a bluff at least, and get called by pocket king, queens, jacks, you know, all that fun stuff. I hate to see an ace on the board. And he ends up tank calling. I show, and I did get called by one of those hands, I imagine, because he mucks his cards, and ace-9 is the winner. Lucky, lucky me. And here we go. Ending off this session on a very, very strong note and high notes. Always nice to pick up a win.
It was a good day. I didn't play for very long. To be quite honest with you, I actually only wanted to play because I needed dinner. And the food here is always good. Why not make me some poker and some food? So I ended up having a wonderful time. I only played for 2 hours. Game ended up breaking because we were on the must-move table and other people wanted to play the main game. And I am chilling. In the game for $40,000, played for 2 hours, out of the game for $51,920. That is a total good profit of almost $12,000 in 2 hours. So it's a really cool environment. Something I'm not very used to, playing like public cash games here in Vegas, but nice to showcase on the vlog and also book a win. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, made it this far. I'll see you next time. Peace.